Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, my name is Carolyn. I'm a twin mom to sweet baby girls summer and winter, and I've recently been sharing a couple of videos about my twin pregnancy. I shared about what it was like being pregnant with twins, what it was like traveling with twins, what it was like going through my birth story with twins, and I just want to also share all about what I packed in my hospital bag, just in case anybody out there is curious, just with some ideas about what it was like, what I packed, what I actually used. I'm a big planner and I like to make a whole list of all the things that I want to bring. And so I made a big list, but honestly, I didn't end up using hardly any of the things. I'm going to read out to you all the things that I had on my list just in case you are interested in bringing those. But I will be realistic and I'll tell you about all the things that I did end up using and what I didn't use. Okay, so I have literally here printed out a list of everything that I brought with me to the hospital. That is how organized I was when I was going to have my babies. It was a planned C-section for my twins, and we did make it full term, which was awesome. I mean, I planned really far ahead because I figured we were gonna have to go to the hospital early because twins are usually born early, but the fact that we made it was really nice and I was able to have lots of time to prepare. So I've organized all of the things in different categories. First of all, toiletries, clothes, general items, things for my husband, things for the babies, and paperwork. So that's 6 categories. You can organize however you want, but that's how my mind works. So I'm just gonna read off all the things, and hopefully this helps you to add all the things to your checklist that you wanna think of, and maybe I just mentioned some things that you haven't thought of yet. So bring a bathrobe. That's something that I've definitely found helpful because it's just, you're showering after you're having your babies, and it's really nice to just feel kind of cleansed afterwards. Conditioner and shampoo is really good if you have something that you specifically like. Like I really enjoy my specific conditioner and I have really long hair, so my hair gets crazy if I don't use that one, so that's why I brought that one. You also might want to bring a hairbrush, face wipes, cooling pads, or water spray to cool you down if you're having a vaginal birth or natural birth. I didn't end up using any of those things because of the fact that I had a C-section, and so I didn't need like the cooling methods and stuff like that, but it still can come in handy even if you do that kind of birth, just in case you go through some type of like overheating or discomfort, it might just help. Hair ties are a must because you are going to want to put your hair up. That is a fact. Hand sanitizer, lip balm, lotion. I was personally using Burt's Bees Mama's Belly Butter, and that was really good for my belly and just like stretch mark areas. So that's what I used, and I brought it with me to the hospital. I'm glad that I did. You also might be surprised at how you react to different scents, like smelling scents, while you're giving birth. So again, I went through a different thing because I had a C-section, but if you are having a natural birth, you might be surprised at how many things will turn you off that you usually like. This is things I've heard from all my friends who have had natural births. And so let's say that you like lavender lotion. Lavender lotion might make you really upset. I don't know. It might totally turn you off while you're trying to have your baby. So maybe bring just a few different scents so that if you smell one thing and it turns you off, you can use a different lotion or something. And sometimes that can even be soothing if you do bring a few different like good smelling things to help you feel calm during that time. So another thing that I had on my list was maternity heavy pads or adult diapers for after your birth. They have all this stuff at the hospital, so you don't need to bring that. If you're, of course, having your birth at a hospital. If you're doing it at home, then you probably want to stock up on those things. Nail clippers and nail file. This is, again, stuff that I thought that I would use, but didn't use. And then I also had Lanoil. It's a cream specifically for when you're trying to breastfeed that you're able to use just to basically help the sensitivity so that it doesn't hurt as much and that you don't dry up when you're trying to learn how to breastfeed, because it is a lot. Nursing pads, that one is a must, but honestly, I didn't use them much until I got home because when I was at the hospital, I wasn't too worried about losing milk in that way because you're not walking around or anything. If you are learning how to breastfeed at the hospital, you're probably just getting your milk in most cases. So I started personally using my nursing pads once I was home already for a couple of weeks and really had my milk coming in. Okay, toothbrush and toothpaste is a must. You're definitely gonna want that. And tissues, if you are a kind of person that likes to use tissues, you can bring your own, or they also do have some at the hospital for you. Okay, the next section is clothes. And honestly, you can pack really light here. You don't have to pack a whole bunch of things. I packed a whole bunch of different stuff because I had different ideas in mind. I wanted an outfit if it was cold. I wanted an outfit if it was warm. You never know what the temperature is going to be in your room, but keep this in mind. You're going to be trying to breastfeed a lot of the time if you are, a mom that wants to breastfeed. And in my case, I was trying to breastfeed both of my babies, both twins. And so I honestly just wasn't really wearing a top for most of the time when I was in my hospital room. The only times that I was wearing something on top was when I was walking around trying to just learn how to walk and just take it easy. I mean, it's easy to walk after you've had babies, but you do want to give yourself time. And, if it's a C-section, wait a couple days if it feels right. Don't push yourself to get up too early. If you just want to hang out and lay in bed, that's okay too. And if you had a natural birth, then chances are you're probably going to get up a little bit earlier, and that's great too. Just keep in mind that you're going to want something that's really comfortable. You're going to want something that is stretchy. You do not want to put pressure on your tummy right away. Even though you've just brought out the baby, you do still have a little bit of what I like to call a bubble. At least that's how it seemed for me. So in other words, just pack clothes that are still maternity clothes. Don't pack your normal, everyday, tight pants. That's not gonna feel good. And it's not like anybody's looking at what you're wearing when you're in the hospital. They're way more focused just on how you're doing and your baby or babies if you're having two or more. And, if you do want to bring one outfit for a family portrait session, that is one thing I would advise. So our hospital actually offered us to do a free portrait session, and then we could choose to buy the photos if we wanted to. It was really nice to get newborn baby photos and newborn photos of us as a family. And that's kind of the reason why I advise to bring your makeup and hairbrush and things like that in case you want to get dressed up to do the little photo session. If not, that's okay too. But that's just one thing to keep in mind. If you want to walk around in slippers, that's totally something you can do. I put slippers on my list. I put comfortable socks on my list. Also, nursing tops, nursing bras, things like that. Make sure that your going home clothes are something that's going to be appropriate for the weather when you leave, because the weather might not be the same when you leave as it was when you arrived. For us personally, it was kind of chilly out the day that we arrived, but then on the day we left, it was super sunny and hot out. So you never know. Just take a look at the forecast and then you know what to bring. If you want, you can even just put a jacket in the car so that you know that you won't be too cold when you leave the hospital. Other general items that I brought, and this probably pertains more to those moms that are doing actually natural birth and are going to be having a little bit more downtime in the hospital versus me. I had the C-section, so basically my babies were immediately born after we got there, and then we just spent time learning how to be parents, so we didn't really have time for anything else while we were there because we had two babies in our room for 4 days while we were just, I was trying to get back to normal health, and my husband, poor thing, was running around taking care of both the babies while I couldn't get out of bed yet. Oh, he's awesome. But with that said, the things I'm about to mention are things that you could totally bring if you're going to have a little bit more downtime while you're in between contractions or things like that to distract you. So books, music, headphones for listening to music, or even a Bluetooth speaker if you want to have that in your room, an iPad or a tablet or computer just so that you can watch a movie if you need to. I would definitely advise having a playlist on your phone. I was fully prepared to go into natural birth and have a push playlist, so I had that already on my phone. I would totally advise that if you're the kind of person that is motivated by music like me. This one is probably the most important thing that you could possibly bring: a long cord phone charger. You will be on your phone and you want to have a long charger, because the worst thing is if your phone is dead and you want to be taking pictures of you with your baby or whatever it is and you can't plug it in and use it, and it's you have to wait. I mean, honestly, just get a long cord. You'll thank me later. You're welcome. You may also want to bring a pillow that you like if you're very partial to certain pillows. The ones at the hospital aren't great, but they worked just fine for me, so I didn't need my own pillow. But I did use my own blanket, and I would absolutely highly recommend using your own blanket because it does get cold sometimes in there. You never know. I mean, it was actually snowing outside while we were in there, and then like I said, it was sunny when we left. But regardless, I used the blanket to sleep, and it was definitely something I appreciated. You might also want to bring an eye mask for sleeping just because, there can be a lot going on in the area that you're in. You may also want your own camera, drinks, food. We actually brought a whole bunch of snacks because we didn't know what the hospital was going to have as far as food goes. What our particular hospital did is everything that I wanted, because I was technically a patient because I had gone under the surgery to have my babies, I was able to order anything that I wanted anytime, basically off the menu. I think I was guaranteed to have at least like 3 meals a day. And then if my husband was hungry, he was supposed to supply food for himself, or I just gave him things from what I was eating. So we honestly didn't really end up needing to bring as much food as we did because we also had family members who would pop in to come see us, and they would bring us food and drop things off. You can even have things delivered to the wing of your hospital. That's something that I know is really nice. In other words, don't worry too much about bringing food unless there's a specific snack that you really want to have. If you do take medicine or prenatals, or in my case, I was taking my Juice Plus, it's fruits, vegetables, and berries, and that's all I did for my prenatal. I've got a whole nother story about that if you want to check out my pregnancy story, but regardless, I brought those with me to make sure that I was consistent. You definitely want to stay consistent if you've been doing something for a while. Also, if your spouse is coming, make sure that he's got a comfortable area because they're going to want blankets. Like my husband, we brought blankets for him, clothes, headphones, so that he could have some music to listen to if he needed while he was trying to fall asleep, pajamas, a pillow that he likes, and a sleeping bag. Those things are more important, the pillows and sleeping blankets or sleeping bag, because they don't give a second bed for your significant other. They probably end up sleeping on a couch most cases. In our case, they actually did bring a rollaway bed, and so he was able to use a pillow and blanket that they gave him, but again, it's not usually what you're used to. It's not usually that comfortable. So I totally advise bringing something that you think is going to be more comfortable. Keep in mind though, if you're having your baby and you're going to be in the same room as your baby, you might not be getting that much sleep anyways. So maybe don't worry too much about that. If you're tired enough, you'll fall asleep. Don't worry. We also brought towels for the shower, but we ended up not needing our own towels because they have towels there. I read that the towels in the hospitals are terrible, but they were fine. I didn't see a problem with them. So I didn't find it necessary to use our own towels, even though we brought them. I also packed a separate bag for my babies. So in the baby bag, I packed bodysuits or onesies for babies going home. This is important because you do need a going home outfit for them. While you're at the hospital, they will be able to supply all of the things that you could possibly need for them, like diapers, onesies, burp cloths, blankets. I mean, literally, you name it, like anything that you could possibly need for your baby, they have at the hospital. But when you leave, you need to make sure that you have full, comfortable outfits for them. And they're not used to the outdoor weather. They're used to being comfy, warm mama's tummy. So make sure that you get something warm for them for going home. And even if you want to like put them in wrapped in blankets after you buckle them in the car seat, that's something else that can keep them warm. Obviously, car seats is the next thing on the list. Make sure also to get them installed properly in your car before you go to the hospital. This was definitely something I'm really glad that we did. Also, you might want to leave a little bit of space in your baby bag for other things that the hospital might offer for you to take home. It totally depends on how fully stocked they are and what they've got going on, but a lot of times they'll let you take home extra diapers or wipes or just little things that can come in handy during your first few days. And that is definitely something that you want to be able to have room to bring home with you. Other things for babies include socks, jackets, hats, mittens, swaddling wraps, just again, things that'll keep them warm on the way home. And then most importantly, paperwork. Make sure that you have your insurance information with you. You also will probably need some sort of hospital paperwork that you've already filled out or you are going to fill out. And then in addition, you also want to make sure you have your birth plan. And if you're going into natural labor, you might want to even have a couple copies of your birth plan so that you can talk to whoever it is in there. They do rotate nurses quite a bit if you're in there for a long time, but you want to make sure that whoever the doctor is on staff, that they know what your preferences are if you have put together a solid, detailed birth plan. I put together a really detailed birth plan and then I ended up obviously not using it because I had a C-section, but it's really nice just to have that prepared ahead of time so that whoever it is, you don't have to explain to them what you would like while you're like in contractions. You can just simply hand them a piece of paper that has basically all the things checked off, like if you want music, if you want the lights dim, if you want scents, if you want whatever it is, and then they kind of get an idea of what type of scenario you see yourself going into while you're having this baby. Okay, so I think that's it. Honestly, like I said, we put a lot of things on this list, and I thought of just about everything that I possibly could think of, but we ended up not really using a whole lot of it. Like, honestly, the main things that I would make sure that you bring are your phone and long extension cord. You may want to have a camera, but it's probably still on your phone as well. And you also want to make sure that you have comfy going home clothes for you and your spouse and for the baby, and then things to keep you comfortable at night. But other than that, really, I wouldn't advise a whole lot more. Maybe the speaker for your music, but again, that could also be your phone. So, it's totally up to you. But in our case, if it's a C-section birth, we ended up just really going straight in and having the babies and then spending time with them. So we didn't have time for anything else. But if you are in between contractions and you're going through a natural birth, then I would advise probably having some things to do to keep you busy or to keep you even distracted during the time of waiting until you officially go into full-on labor. And I know a lot of different hospitals will also even advise specifically to not come in until you're having really intense contractions 5 minutes apart. And so it depends on who your doctor is, obviously, but I know that that is also a way that you can not have to worry about coming in and worrying about what to do, because you can still be at home during the first part of that labor if your contractions aren't close enough together yet. So yeah, I hope that this was helpful. I hope that some of this just gave you ideas if you're looking for what to put in your hospital bag. And I hope that this helped answer questions about what we found was helpful at our hospital. And like I said, food was the main thing that we brought a whole bunch of snacks that we didn't need at all. And additionally, like I said, I brought way more outfits than I needed, because let's face it, if you're laying in a hospital bed and you're trying to breastfeed, it's not really necessary that you wear a whole bunch of clothes or you try to look fancy or whatever. Like, some people do that and that's great, but in my case, I had twins. Like, I basically just was like focused on that and not focused about how I looked. And it's totally up to you. Just do what feels right. I packed my hospital bag also couple months in advance, because like I said, you never know when you're going to go into labor, especially if you're having multiples. It's really good to just be prepared ahead of time, and this way you're not scrambling to try to get things out the door when you're about to leave to go to the hospital while you're experiencing contractions. You don't want to be stressed out, especially if you're like really big and you're starting to feel immobile or something like that. You don't want to be trying to run around the house to get things ready. You want a bag sitting by the door that you can grab anytime. It's so nice to just be prepared. And once you enter into your third trimester, what I did for my clothes that I put in my bag is I put my second trimester clothing, because it didn't really fit in my third trimester because I was so big. I had 13 pounds of baby in me with my twins, both being about 6.5 pounds. So it was very good that I had, my second trimester clothing that was able to fit no problem after the babies were out, but it still felt very comfortable. So thank you so much for listening to my video and my story. And if you do have more questions about my twin pregnancy, I definitely hope you check out my other pregnancy videos and my birth story. Thank you. And if you're not yet subscribed, please do subscribe below. Click the bell for notifications so you can find out more about the videos I'm sharing and my twin mom life. You can always follow us also on Instagram to see what we're up to as a family at Summer Winter Mom. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.